must a man walk down?
New York-based photographer Michal Rubin comes from a highly artistic lineage. Her grandfather, Reuven Rubin, was one of the fathers of Israeli painting, which emphasized one of the characteristics of Israel, its bright, piercing light.
I'm completely also driven by light. That's totally what I look for in every picture, which is kind of funny. But for me, I use light as something to evoke a feeling. I think he was looking at light because he came from Eastern Europe where it was very dark and everything was very different. I kind of grew up into that. So for me, it's something that I guess I take for granted.
So light is what he found when he came to Israel. What did you find when you left Israel?
I did?
Yes.
I found Israel, actually.
How do you mean?
Because when I was there, I wasn't so interested in shooting what was around me and looking at what was around me. But once I left, I really started looking at what I had there. Somehow I find that I kind of shoot wherever I am not living. So if I live in New York, I barely shoot here, and I feel more inspired in Israel. When I was living in Israel, I was more inspired by going abroad and traveling, and now I feel like, yeah, Israel is really what inspires me, and light, and kind of what everybody takes for granted, and friends and people and kids and just the most mundane and normal everyday things. But it's a constant struggle. It's something that every day I think, do I want to live here or do I want to live there? So even if I would be living my whole life in New York, or maybe if I would move to London, I still would, I think, wake up every day thinking, you know, where should I be?
What part of those Israeli roots are the roots that drive you forward? What did you take from the Israeli perspective?
I think it's this togetherness, it's the sense of community, it's the family and the friends that you have everywhere, it's the fact that everybody really cares for you and really is interested in what you know, and you're doing, but also at the same time it's also that everybody's in your business, and sometimes you feel you can't breathe. That's why you have to get away. But, so, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's the good and the bad together.
After you left Israel, has there been a Jewishness added to this perspective, or is it just Israeli apart from...
I think once I've been for so long away, now it's the fact that I'm Jewish. I realize what it is, because that's what also connects me to other Jewish people that I meet all over the world.
So what is it? What is it, this Jewishness that...
To me, it's sense of humor.
Really?
Yeah. It's
like
this,
what?
It's just this ability to laugh at yourself and looking at the irony of it all and the cynicism of it all.
Because a lot of your pictures, you spoke of the togetherness, but a lot of your pictures strive for a sort of intimacy that is like the exact polar opposite of togetherness.
What defines for me Israelis, when you look, you know, from the outside, is the fact that, like, wherever you go, it's either you have family that you know, or friends that you know, or friends of friends that you know, or friends of family that you know, or and even if you don't know them, basically they feel like they know you because you're Israeli, and they feel like they have the right to, like, ask you anything or touch you or come into your personal space. And that's kind of what's really good, the chutzpah, you know?
Right.
So, but in my pictures, I think that maybe I try to find something that is not necessarily that. It's more this sense of intimacy that you have, and the fact that you can look into people's lives, you know, and be in them, but without feeling like you're invading.
Is there anything that you consciously took from your grandfather, any approach?
Yeah, it's dynamics between the people, and also how they relate to their country and to their environment, and to everything that was around them. I do the same, only in an Israel that is completely different, 60 years later.
So where do you see yourself in 20 years' time? Not just geographically, but personally.
Well, my fantasy would be to have an apartment in New York or London, one or the other. I don't know what I will go for more naturally in the next couple of years, but either or, and one in a house in Israel, and kind of divide my time. Maybe another house somewhere like tropical.
And what will you be shooting?
Probably the same thing, unfortunately. No, I mean, I want to do, I really like doing the editorial aspect of it, and going and being sent to people that I wouldn't meet or would never know, and going to shoot their lives. So I love that. And I also love shooting the people that are close to me. So I would hope to keep doing both.